What's up everyone, your friend Greybeard here with the first video for OP08.5. Uta received some reasonable support in the new starter decks, so that's the first leader we're gonna try out of the new group. And the way we're playing it is Sanji. Sanji is pretty much a 2K, but it can become a powerful attacker as well. This is discards from EBO1, so not new. The old Chopper, 2K counter, and Nami Searcher, 4 of them, so 4 of each of the previous 2Ks we mentioned, 4 Nami Searchers, 4 Brooks. This allows us to spawn the board really quick, and 4 of the Blocker Luffy, very strong card, 7k blocker, so can block strong attacks. Also allows us to go into plays like Luffy into Brook into Nami, or Luffy into Brook into Katakuri. So we also running some 4 of the Utas, very good. You can pitch an event that you don't need or that you have too many in your hand to withstand a Fume card. Very strong and very good blocker. Against Zoro also can be an attacker for small bodies if we need to. We're running 4 of the new Uta, 4 for 6k, a blocker. You can trash a card to give a rested Dawn to your leader. I didn't use this ability too much since you want to have a reasonable amount of cards in your hand with Uta. But the downside of this card is no counter power, and this affected us in some of the games, but on the other hand, being a blocker is very helpful. We're also playing the new Katakuri, very well rounded card, 3 cost, 4k power, 1k counter. If you have 6 or more rested cards, it becomes a 6k. It includes him, so at the moment that you rest him, if you have other 5 cards, it will gain the bonus. We're playing 4 Shanks, allows us to kill big bodies when our opponent plays, or it's a very good workaround against kids. So the 8 cost kid, so we're playing 4 of that, searchable as well because of Fume card, and the new Luffy that's pretty much a 2k counter. For events we're playing 2 Backlights, very good event, very helpful to rest blockers, go through it, attack. Also 4 of the search events, and 4 I'm invincible because they are pretty good finishers, or sometimes even to control board you can like kill 2 units at the same turn. Very good. So this is the deck that we will start playing here, our first attempt of Uta, and let's go for some gameplays. And our first match is against Reiju. So this is not a bad hand. We have a 3 cost body. It's not the most effective one since it's a blocker and cannot attack properly. So 4k, we have to invest Dawn to attack with it. But yeah, let's search for 2k and pass the turn. Not much to do here. Our opponent, let's see if they get the stage, and no, they just passed the turn back. Very slow start for our opponent, but Reiju can explode really quick, so let's go all out, hit them. They started at 4 life, so bringing them down while drawing cards is always good. This is not something we should keep doing all the time, and putting our Dawn, all our Dawn into the leader and attacking. They chose that path as well, which is really weird. They don't seem to have a 4 Dawn play. But we'll get out of that cycle, and let's start attacking them, drawing a card and establishing a Brook and a Katakuri, so next turn we can push for more damage. This new Katakuri is very good because once you have 6 rested cards, it gains 2k. Very helpful, very aggressive, early aggression. And they do it again. We need to establish a blocker here, because if they keep doing this, we can't just keep taking damage all the time. It's pretty weird what they are doing. It makes me think that they don't have the pieces to play. But with 6 done on the board and all those cards in their hand, it's very weird that they wouldn't have any place. So yeah, but we have to trust that our opponent knows what they are doing. Let's establish our blocker, and let's prepare a Nami for next turn as well, so we can start searching for more cards. That's basically Uta's strong side. We keep a lot of cards in our hand. It's dangerous against Reiju because normally they run 2 puddings. But yeah, we can't stop that. We can't stop that from... we can't stop doing our game because we're worried about them shrinking our hand size, right? We can use the backlight here, and I want them to commit down to attack into Katakuri if they decide to. We may have the counter power for it if they don't invest a lot of Dawn. But yeah, they choose a different route of playing Porsche, bringing out a Reiju, drawing more cards. Not sure what will benefit, what if that will really benefit them, but let's counter out of this attack. We can, so no reason for not to. And I prefer to keep the Uta since they are blockers in this match. Later we may need more blockers. So let's see what we draw first. Okay, we already have an I'm Invincible in hand, so that may be useful to pitch to Uta so we can withstand something. And let's start attacking for 6. See what our opponent does. We still have enough Dawn to drop a Luffy, and that seems to be the best option here. Deploy a Luffy, that will buff our Katakuri, and we go from there. But just establishing a blocker as well and drawing with Nami seems more appealing, because we can refill our hand and at the same time give the buff to Katakuri and save Luffy for a later turn. Now we have 2 blockers, hard for them to get rid of everything and deal with our board at the same time. So yeah, 7k attack, it's pretty harsh. Their hand size is going down very quick, and we also have 2 I'm Invincibles here. We could use one, but yeah, maybe we should save it for closing the game in case we need. There's not much our opponent can do to come back from this. Our board's much bigger than theirs. They could, maximum they could do here is to play an Ichiji and they give up. And a match against Don Flamingo. So yeah, Doffy, if it's a birdcage build, which I believe it is, it's a bad match for us. Our bodies get locked in the birdcage pretty easily, unless we start to establish Luffy's and Shanks. They also run the 10 cost Doffy, which can lock our board. So not the best match for us, for sure. We could have left one door open, so because New Genesis is always a possibility and we could have searched with it, but yeah, let's just... So a sugar can be a problem because everything comes tapped, so if they play a birdcage, that would definitely be annoying. Our bodies would be rested, so let's get rid of it while we can. So, and that will give us a 2k, very good. Now we have a lot of counter power in our hand, so very, very good. Here, let's just untap Uta using the event. I just didn't want them to attack into Uta here. I want to have her for blocking. And here we can give a 2k for them. With 5 down, Queen is very good. They have a lot of cards in their hand. And they just trash a bird cage. That's very weird. But I believe that their thought behind it, it's like we don't have enough bodies, and bodies that are worthwhile for them are worth of them keeping a bird cage here, or they have more bird cages in their hand. So more 2k counters. A Punkibson comes out, tap our Brook, and now we can establish a Nami or even another blocker. So yeah, but a Nami makes sense, so we can search, find our next play. Let's get a 2k, a lot of counter power here, so our opponent can't just kill our board easily. We can protect our board, and that Nami will also help for the next turn. We can dig more cards and search for more answers. We don't have a strong board here. It's better than our opponent's board, but we don't have the Luffys, we don't have any hard-hitting character out, and that can become a problem, right? If they start to establish stronger bodies, that can definitely become a problem. They play McVice, they tap Nami, we can counter this out pretty easily, so there's no reason for us not to do this. And Nami can draw us more cards here. Katakuri is a good card, so we may have a strong play, but first let's see what we can draw. Let's push a strong attack since they have Queen, they can block it, they can counter. So having 7k can give us some counters, but first let's attack with Nami, see what we find. And that Luffy is pretty clutch now, because we have a play for next turn with Luffy and Katakuri. And let's see what we get out of Uta. We can draw. Now I would prefer a card with counter here, but this Luffy will do the trick. Let's throw another attack at our opponent, so we're throwing a lot of attacks at them. They could block and give a 1k here. We don't have much more. So yeah, our opponent here could have given like just a 1k. They prefer to get out of it with a 2k. Fair enough. Now let's restand our Nami so they can't attack into it. We're getting a lot of value out of that Nami to find answers. So no reason to leave it unprotected. And I want them to attack into that Brook. So we want them to hit it and destroy it, because next turn we're dropping one of those Luffys with maybe Katakuri, and if they don't attack into Brook, they would attack into our life, they would demand either blockers or cards from our hand, and we would have to sacrifice the Brook anyway next turn to open space in our board. So yeah, that Mechvise there, 5k, pretty annoying, but not the worst for us. Also, the Brook 8, one attack that would come directly at our leader, so no problem about that. Actually, it was pretty good that we take this second attack. They lock their own Mechvise here, which is quite weird. They play that Birdcage, and so their Mechvise will not untap anymore unless they have an effect for it. And here we can use this first. Yeah, first let's attack with our leader. No point in attacking the Mechvise that's locked. So let's hit them. We always want to hit for 6 or more because of the queen. So if we do that, we always demand cards from their hand. And this chunks is good in case they play their Doffy after the attack. We can destroy it, but at this point I feel it's too much playing 4. They're always stuck in our hand, and like that's not helping. They don't have counter. Another one would show in our search, which is not ideal. But here we can get the blocker. Our play here is quite direct, right? We can go for the Luffy, and that Luffy can go for a Brook, or we can just... No, the Brooks is the one that makes sense at this point, because we want to establish attackers. I could go with the Uta as well, but yeah, establishing another 6k blocker won't help that much. We can hold that for just in case we're under pressure. And now they have to minus Dawn. If they don't, that Birdcage will pop. So it's either dropping a Doffy or letting that Birdcage pop, and next turn giving us full permission to attack with no consequences. I'm not sure a Doffy here is the best answer for our opponent, because they are at 1 life and they would have to deal with a lot of attacks. Probably they will let this Birdcage pop. I'm not sure they have anything to minus Dawn at this point in their hand. And even if they do, probably they will prevent it from for 1 turn. This could be a free block, but depending, it feels like they want us to rest our Luffy because they have an answer for it, and probably it is the Doffy. So let's just get out of their attack and not give them the opportunity. But so they just played a baby 5, searched out of it, found an off-white. Off-white will not be very helpful for them. They can't sustain the Birdcage with that, and it pops. Pops, takes the babe 5, takes the Mechvise. We just lost 1 blocker in the process, which is not a problem. So here, the most intuitive thing to do is like to rest our blocker and go full power. So let's do that. Let's start hitting them with our leader so we can see what comes out of the draw. It's always good to hit with the leader first when playing Uta, so you can see what you draw. Another 2k, marvelous, that's really good. Let's demand a 2k or an event from our opponent. Maybe a 2k here makes sense, like you don't want to spend like an event that gives you 4k or something like that in a 6k attack. But I have the sense that our opponent's very bricked because they have not been countering a lot. So yeah, let's see what they do. Wow, they used the off-white and they whiff. So pretty harsh on them. Actually, I don't feel our opponent has a clear path out of this situation. And they just, so let's keep attacking, causing more damage here. We need 5 cards rested to get the Katakuri buff, so before we attack, let's make sure we have that. So Katakuri goes 2k. We can replace that Brook for another blocker, which makes our opponent's life even worse. Right, so it's a worse situation for them. Let's go 6. See what they do. They use an off-white, draw a baby 5. Let's attack more and see. And our opponent doesn't have a way out. And let's go against Vegapunk. Vegapunk can be annoying. They keep gaining life. But we develop board very well. They can also develop board very well with the triggers and putting things in life and getting out of life to the board. They out of the bat put down a Luffy, which KOs a lot of our characters, so let's go all out with 8k. We found a Katakuri, it's a good play, but yeah, very susceptible for that Luffy over there. Our opponent's definitely not concerned about being 1 life here. They get a Frankie out of the trigger, very good card in this deck. So yeah, they establish a body, they draw a card, it's quite good. And yeah, from this point, let's see what they do. They put a card in life, yeah, that's wise, it's not smart to stay at 1 life. But we can get out of this attack, it's an early aggression here, but we also need cards in hand. So yeah, taking this kind of makes sense, and the backlight will be good in this situation because we can just destroy that Luffy before they use it for anything else. So here we can just clean their board. Vegapunk cannot attack, which is quite good. I don't think they will protect this Frank. So let's clear their entire board and pass. The problem here is that we didn't hit our life, so they can go up to 3. And if that becomes a constant, they'll keep going up and up and up in life, and it will make it harder for us to close the game. The event is very good for Vegapunk, so they can play an egghead for 1 out of the trigger. Very, very good for them. So, but we need to start causing damage here. There is not too much we can do, so not out of their hand, out of the trash, so probably they'll bring back that Luffy. And yeah, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense, but we need to start to establish bodies. If we don't do that, the game will start to get more and more complicated. Establishing 2 bodies here helps because they can KO only 1 with Luffy, and the other one is a blocker. I'm not sure they will use it to attack. They could because it's a 6k, but yeah, since it's a blocker, they tend to try to protect their leader a little bit, having a reasonable amount of life, around 2, but also keeping a blocker up. So with the Gedatsu and the Luffy, they can empty our board again, get us to where we were before, in the turn before. No plays, no cards. That's pretty bad. Our situation doesn't look good here. They can regenerate, we're at 2 life, they are at 2 life, but also, again, they can put cards in life, so now they're at 3. They just passed us. Here we have a good combo out of it. We can go Luffy into Brook, into Katakuri. That establishes 3 bodies. We can start to answer whatever they do. Luffy is also good for us to block. And they get a trigger, play this card. We have to keep attacking their life. If we don't, they start to gain more and more and more life, and it starts to get dangerous. So that's what you want to do, right? You want to control their board at the same time, not allowing them to get you distant with cards in life. It's tough at this point because we have the same number of characters on board, and well, they get rid of our Katakuri, which was a big aggressor. So it feels like they are ahead, even that their leader cannot attack, but it really feels like they have the upper hand now. We can get out of this, so there's no reason not to, but it feels like they if I rest my Luffy there, I would give a lot of counter for one single attack. They couldn't. I could get a free block out of that Lily, so yeah, it makes sense. We could have that damage. It's dangerous. We're at 1 life. It's not good at all, but yeah, we can deal with that. We have a fair amount of counter in our hand. It's not a very big amount, but it's fair. They are at 3 life, which is not good for us. But here we can play 2 bodies again, so we can put down 2 blockers. We can put down that Luffy, and also we can, out of that Luffy, we can put down one Uta. Let's see what they do is a 5k attack, and our opponent feels very comfortable here. They can get that Luffy back from the trash again. They'll be able to use it for the second time, because the first time we KO'd it. So yeah, everything's going very well for them. Our hand size is very intimidating at the moment. They don't have that many cards in hand. So let's get rid of one event and restand our Brook so they can't attack into it. I need those attackers. I can't let them KO everything. So here they'll attack. The right thing to do here would be to block with Uta, so because they can pop the Luffy and destroy the Uta. So let's do that. If we don't, we would pitch a card to have the Uta going anyway. They pop it for the Brook. The downside of that is that we lost 2 bodies, but the good side of it is that we didn't, that Luffy, we ate an attack of that Luffy. Let's establish more blockers here, because that ace hits very hard. It's a 10k. We have an answer for that if they use it to attack. We just need to be able to get out of the attack. So let's start with a 7k, see what we draw out of it. A backlight. Backlight may be useful to rest their blocker in case we need to finish the game. And we can attack with the Luffy because we can drop a Luffy with an Uta, pitch an event, and that Luffy will we restand. So yeah, that's maybe the way to go here. Now we can restand this Luffy using the backlight for that. I'm keeping the I'm invincible because that can be very good to close the game. We may need multiple attacks to close the game against Vegapunk. If they attack with that ace, we can block it. We will lose a blocker here, but also we can play the Shanks, get rid of it, be a little bit in a little bit of a better position. So let's see what they do. And they play a Yamato. They can't KO anything with that Yamato because we only had 2 life in total. But they're back at 2 life. And they have 2 big strong bodies. That's a bit concerning. Their other bodies are not that strong, so we can deal with them. But that Yamato and that ace are pretty concerning. Let's start with attacking with our leader. There is no point in playing that ace since there is no in playing the Shank since there is nothing to KO. I really would love for our opponent to have attacked with that ace. Unfortunately, they didn't. And they counter out of our attack. We can attack with Brook as well. Is a good option here. I want them to attack into the Brook and try to clear my board. That would eat one of their attacks. So yeah, if we can do that, that's pretty good. Let's see if our opponent will try to go for it. Let's bait our opponent to attack into this Brook. So 9 cat leader, they use their blocker. That's very good for us. That puts us in a good position. They don't have any blockers. 3 cards in hand. And we can replace this Brook with another blocker. And now having 5 blockers on the board grants that we will not die. And we have a fair amount of counter as well, so we can block with our Luffys and not let them go if we decide to. Not all of them. Probably we'll lose some of them in the process, but not all of them. So let's see. And of course that our opponent will have another Nami with a trigger to destroy our blocker. The game's not the best for us at the moment. So let's see what our opponent will do. Probably he will start attacking with the big bodies. And 11k at 5. So we could get out of this attack. So yeah, let's block it, because we don't want to go to 0 life here. They have a big amount of dawn. And 11, we can block this one, but protect our Luffy. That's doable. Would require a fair amount of counter here, which is a big commitment, but we need to keep our attackers for next turn as well, because we will try to put them down to 0 life. And I really believe they didn't distribute their dawn very well. They come after the Luffy here instead of coming after our leader. Not sure that was the best option. So yeah, let's go for game here. Maybe that's the right play. Let's see, or deploying the Shanks could also help. Let's see what comes out of the draw first. So let's attack. We could clear board, but the chances that our opponent has something here exist. So yeah, a non-counterable card. That's pretty dangerous. Their board state's pretty good. So they counter out of it. They open an opportunity for us to go for game here, because we have 2 I'm Invincible in our hand, so we can attack for... we should go for 7. Yeah, we didn't demand that Dawn there. That after adding the Dawn, that didn't sound right. And yeah, we so let's... that's bad. Our opponent could establish a blocker. We could have gone for 7 again, since they only have 1 card in hand. They decided to take it, use a trigger to replace a card on the board. So now it's either... so we have 2 extra attacks with the Uta, and for that we have 7 done. That's pretty risky. If our opponent can counter out the first attack, we're done already, because they have a blocker in there. So look, there is a chance, because they block it. So our only option is if this attack goes through, and our opponent didn't have it. GG. And our last match will be against Zoro. Zoro is a pretty aggressive deck. They get all the usage out of the animal pack. So yeah, hard match for us if we can develop a board very quickly. The Brook there gives us some hope, but it's hard that we don't have a 3-cost play. They start very well. That's exactly what they want, right? Searching for everything, finding Jabble Jumble, finding choppers. That's how they want. Here we have to dig for answers, because we don't have too much to do. And a 2k counter, that's helpful. That will not bail us out, because we need aggression. We need to be able to clear their board. And they put down 2 Machinos, so that means that those 2 1 costs will be able to attack this turn. Even if I clear one, they have another one established already. Yeah, harsh start for us. Not easy here. So let's counter out of the first attacks, because we can't afford to go very low. They still have 1 attack with the leader, so this one maybe we can take and try to dig for answers, but we get more blockers out of it. Not the best situation. And yeah, let's see what Uta gives us here. We could establish a Brook and an Uta and start to try to contain their aggression a little bit. So first let's clear board. Attacking the Machinos makes sense, because if they don't have the Machinos, they have to commit some Dawn to attack with those 1k bodies. And yeah, let's establish a Brook and an Uta. Uta can be an attacker against Zoro, because it's a 4k, so if we need to clear board, it can do the job. But yeah, it's not an easy situation. And there we go, they find the Search Chopper. They replace one of those 1k 1 costs for another Chopper, 4k attack, much better. And they find they can also they also drop a Hiking Bear. So it doesn't look good for us at the moment. We have to try to survive here, so we can get to a later stage. Let's counter this out. 4 life can go down really quick with that board, but we have an answer to their board. this turn, we can start to get rid of it. Let's see if they have enough counter power to go against it. So let's start using the Uta here, see what we get out of the search. We could drop that 7 cost Luffy, but doesn't seem to, we don't seem to have a very solid play with it at the moment. We can start, but yeah, we have to clear board a little bit, so let's start just attacking with the Brook and see what they do. And yeah, let's clear that Makino, that is very annoying. That basically puts a break on that Doctor as well. Now we are at exactly at 7 done, so if we cast this, but we need a 7k body to protect here, to defend our leader. That mitigates a little bit their power because it's not that easy for them to go through a 7k. And let's attack into their board again, see if we can clear something out. This is protectable, but they may let it go as well since they have another chopper. They have the Searcher chopper and another Searcher chopper, which allows them to replace it if they want, if they find it. They counter it out. Luckily that chopper didn't allow them to search on when they drop it with the event, because it's only on your turn. So that helped a little bit. But now we're in a very tough situation here. They have a lot of attacks. They will go all out. If we survive this turn, we may have an answer because they have 3 cards in hand. 3 cards in hand is not a lot of counter power. So we may clear their board. But even if we clear their board, we have to make sure that we don't die in the following turn, because they will still have the leader. They have that Jumble that they searched for in the beginning of the turn, so like we know that one of those cards are not countered. And they are living the dream, right? They have all the cards out, our board is much smaller. That's really good for them. Let's see what they'll do. I think that they should come after our leader, but that for me is a mistake. Going for the Brook, right? Let's protect it so it can swallow more attacks. If we can make that Brook hit one more attack, that's quite good. I see that our opponent is invested in killing our Brook there. So yeah, let's give them the blocker and see if we can hit one more attack in the Brook. But this time they go for the leader. We will not give the Luffy for that. Definitely not. Luffy is very good here. We can still use it to block. We can use it for definitely for granting a KO on their board. So like definitely not something we should do. And out of our life we get another Shanks. We really didn't need that now. So I've been saying playing 4 Shanks doesn't seem that right. We always get them stuck in our hand. But yeah, let's start answering their board. So we can go for, we can use Uta here to attack, see what we get out of it. A 7k attack, either they have the counter for that or they'll give us the card. I hope they don't have it. And yes, we confirm that they don't have it. We can backlight that other Chopper, the searcher one, to make sure that we restrain their access to their searchers. Let's try to get some counter out of a search here. Unfortunately, we only get 1k. That's not enough. We still have 2 life, so if we can grant 2 more kills, that would give us a little bit of a space. They may have rush cards in their hands as well, so it's still pretty dangerous for us. So let's see what they do. Here is the moment that they should attack our life with all they have. They shouldn't be concerned about our board. And they do exactly the opposite. They go for our board. That means we're not dead this turn. And they give us a chance to drop another Luffy. So we can clear that chopper there with our leader. And the perfect play comes out of it. We can go for Luffy, Brook, and Katakuri. Let's see if we can get a 2k here, or we find another blocker. So that could be a slight change of plans here, because the Katakuri and the Brook are they have counter power. So let's drop the 2 blockers. They establish 2 bodies, so having 2 blockers here, we make sure that they won't kill us unless they have 2 Jabble Jumbles. We know they have 1. 1 would not be enough in this scenario. And let's search for more 2Ks. We need more 2Ks, but we get an Invincible. That's not what we want to see in this situation, so yeah, let's establish the Luffy, the Brook, and the Katakuri. That puts the opponent under pressure. They need to finish the game very quickly, otherwise we will finish it. So 1 done. Under Zoro, unblockable. Let's see how they distribute their dawn here. And that doesn't seem right to me, because the way they did it, Chopper can only go to 8k. We got a 2k out of life, so we're pretty much alive. We can counter this out. Good, because it was a second Jabble Jumble and it was unblockable, so doesn't matter how many blockers we had, we couldn't deal with that. Here it's an easy board cleaning. You just have to go for their bodies on the board. They are pretty starved at this point. We don't get a counter out of life. That's not good. So a lot of non-counterable cards in hand. That's pretty devastating at this point. If they have another Jumble, that's definitely game. I don't think they would have another one. Most of the Zoros I saw, they play 2, but I may be wrong. Let's start attacking their life. I know that will give them cards to play, but eventually we have to get them down, right? We can replace this Brook with Anami, try to find more 2Ks. We find it, and we could also get the backlight to rest the blocker. That would help in case that blocker would stand in the way. So let's clear it out. That also can minus our characters, which is pretty annoying. Our opponent doesn't have too many options here. Their option is like a jumble, or actually it's pretty much it, right? Because whatever they drop, even if it has rush, we can block. Their only option for game here is to get unblockable. Yeah, the Doctor is not an answer for anything here. They with, which is pretty bad. For us is now that the table's turned, right? They were living the dream, now we are living the dream, we have everything we want. That Machino over there can buff the Doctor, which is quite good. We've been very careful and very conservative here. We keep all the blockers up because we don't know how many rushers they can bring forward in an attack. So yeah, this is a clear block. So we can block and can protect our Luffy here. We don't want to lose blockers in the process or even like attack power. And yeah, they're pretty much in a bad spot here. We can draw, it's another I'm invincible, so we have 2 extra attacks just in our hand. We have a full board to attack. That's not doable for our opponent to survive anymore. They empty their hand, which is pretty bad. They don't have a blocker, so 5k attack will do the trick here. We don't need more than that. We don't want to waste Dawn with Nami's ability here, because we can distribute that Dawn to do more powerful attacks and our opponent concedes. GG. So back at the deck, now that we saw a little bit of the gameplay, it's still not the best. I feel that we're lacking counter power sometimes, even that we have a very good search engine going on. A lot of the times we were living on the edge with not enough countering our hand, so definitely playing for chunks is not a good way out. Also, I could entertain the idea of playing 3 Utas and maybe work with cards like, let's wait while it loads, but we could work with cards like Usopp, since he's a film card, has counter power, and can be also chained with Brook. We could also work with some Zoro's 4 cost 6k attacker, strong attacker, has counter power, is a film card, so downside it's not chainable with Brook, but yeah, pretty strong card. If you want more top ends, you can explore the ideas of working with Captain Kid instead of playing with Shanks, but remember, he's not searchable from Uta's ability or from the event, so it's pretty much there are high chances that you will bottom deck him. Also, you can consider to go with Frankie, 7k attacker. I wouldn't recommend him. He's not chainable with Brook, he has counter power, he's a bit stronger than Zoro, but the curve to drop him is not the best with this deck. But if you find a workaround with this, definitely something that you can try out. I tried something with the Luffy, didn't work that well. It's a lot of them to commit for a 10k that doesn't have any abilities, so a little bit questionable here. And yeah, those are the initial ideas that I would have. I definitely will iterate over this deck because it's a very fun deck to play. You have a lot of fun. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep up with more content, and see you next week. Thank you very much.